Hello, my name is Farrah Rafati, and today I'll be talking about a book. What book, you might ask? It's called Persephone by Caitlin Brevis. It is part of a trilogy, and I have all three books. And a little bit background of this book is I had to do a book project for mythology back in high school, and this book is actually it's really good. It's different from your basic Great Gatsby, Of Mice and Men, Outliers. Those are great books, but I believe this book and the trilogy is actually really good as well. It's different. It's fiction, as you know, and that it's a mix of mythology and it's actually modern day kind of mythology. Caitlin Brevis does a really good job of taking the gods and goddesses and creating a background, a character of each god and goddesses. This whole trilogy is based off the goddess Persephone, which is the goddess of vegetation, grain, and the queen of the underworld. In this book, we see out Persephone's life. She's a young adult. She's a senior in high school, and she has her whole life planned out. And she's a regular teenager. Also, she thought, but some events happen, which I'm not gonna ruin it for anyone. I'm not gonna disclose it, but some events happen, which is a whole conflict which spreads out through the whole trilogy. And she finally is presented by her mom, and actually somehow come upon her that she's actually a goddess, and she didn't know that, and that her whole life is basically was a lie and had to be changed over the course of 24 hours, to be honest. And I chose this. It's actually really fascinating. I chose it different because it's different. It's a mix of, I like action, so it has a little bit of action here, has mythology, and I like reading books that I love the imagery, and it's different, to be honest. And this book we had to read during quarantine, and quarantine was a time, the corona, we didn't know what was life, and there was no hope. But this book and the whole trilogy, it brought me lights, it brought me hope, and I really liked it. And you might say, like, oh, mythology, what can you learn? What can you gain from this? But actually, there is deeper meanings to each to the character and what she faces. She was a young adult, and at the end of this trilogy, she became a young woman, and I feel like that's empowering for the young girls, and learning how she evolves from a young teenager to being a whole goddess and the queen of the underworld. I think that's amazing, and it's empowering. It teaches not to give up and to keep going and learn and start from the bottom, work to your way top. And that Persephone basically saved, throughout the whole, she saved the gods and goddesses, and she did that on her own. And I feel like it can encourage other people to spread awareness and just help. They're people, they're kind, and be more kind. She shows that Persephone that you could do anything, and you can learn how to adjust to a new idea in 24 hours. And even though this book is kind of mythology and kind of a fantasy, it's different, and you don't not all like it, and it's actually an easy read. It has 200 books, I'm sorry, 200 pages, and I think it's great. I gained a lot of confidence after reading that, and during a time that it's kind of depressing. This was great. I loved reading it, and for school it was only required the first book, but I bought all three and I liked them, and I think that I always recommend it to my friends and my family to read. Obviously it's a young adult book, and we're all young adults here, or even adults. Has a modern day twist onto it, and it's not your basic facts about each god and things it's not boring at all. I think it's actually pretty interesting, and this author has more books, if any, for those who are interested in other gods and goddesses. And like I said, it has a great meaning to it. Like I said, empowering other women, showing how to face difficult times, and how starting from the bottom, becoming a girl, and being a girl and becoming a whole goddess. And I think it's great, and it's obviously different from your basic books, and I hope others are interested in this book as I am, and might give it a try. Don't judge a book by its cover, like they say. But why not? And thank you so much, and have a great day.